I would like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us during our weekly virtual MLS breakfast meeting, and Happy New Year. My name is William Wei of Pinnacle Real Estate Group, and I am your January MLS program chair. Here's a little about me. I would like to start off this week by saying that I am involved in 3 different committees at the MLS this year. The first one is the MLS committee, and I'm also in legislative committee and also global business committee. I would like to say this by asking all of you to consider joining one of our committees because I am very honored to be working with a group of very talented and committed people. A few housekeeping tips. All participants will be muted upon entry to the MLS breakfast meeting. And should you have a question or a comment, please remember to enter it into the chat box. Please remember to join us weekly as we will have our virtual MLS breakfast meeting every Thursday at 9 a.m. And as always, this meeting is being recorded and will be available online on our YouTube channel, West San Gabriel Valley Realtors. Please remember to follow WSGVR social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also watch our pre-recorded videos on YouTube. WSGVR introduced a new text messaging service. For updates, please text WSGVR to the number 72727. And here's some quick tips. For 2022 dues, it is sent via email. So check your emails for your 2022 Realtor dues and 2022 Q1 CRMLS fees. The West San Gabriel Valley Realtor and the Board of Directors are proud to offer 2 discounts to WSGVR members. First one is a CRMLS discount. It is a 1 month free discount available when 2022 CRMLS dues are paid in full by January 31st. And just include the 22 annual MLS 1 month free charge when paying. Okay. And also we have the WSGVR Renewing Realtor, an online only discount. That is available. It is a $15 discount and available for payments after December 31st, 2021, but before January 31st of 2022. And before we get started with Angela from Directs, I regret to inform you that Bob Botkin, a longtime member and 2-time past president of WSGVR, has passed away. He will be greatly missed, but always fondly remembered. Please join me in honoring Bob with a moment of silence. Thank you. And now with our program. Today's agenda consists of our affiliate spotlight, Joseph Nguyen, pillar to post home inspectors, followed by our guest speaker, Michael Brooks and Angela Lee of Directs. Just a reminder, to be eligible for today's raffle, you must be a WSGVR member and your name must be displayed to win. No telephone numbers will be allowed. Today, our affiliate spotlight will be brought to you by the Affiliate Committee, Chair Brendan Severinsky and Vice Chair Joseph Nguyen. The floor is yours, Joseph.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was still muted. Yeah, definitely. I just want to say, sad that we lost Bob. I was lucky to meet him a little bit right before all the pandemic stuff. But yeah, without further ado, hi everybody. My name is Joseph Nguyen with Pillar to Post Home Inspectors, and I just want to talk about myself real quick. We've launched our franchise here in the local area in 2019. And just want to say I'm very grateful for everyone who has supported us since then, especially through the pandemic, and keeping us going. And since then, since we started, a lot has happened to me. I got married in 2019, and adding to our new addition to our little family. Go ahead and you can click on the next photo. I'd like to introduce you guys to Harley Nguyen, our little baby daughter. She was born on August 4th, 2021. So a lot of my time is literally just working and making sure this little bundle of joy is happy, which she, for the most part, she makes it very easy. I love reading to her a lot. And she's growing up so fast. A lot of the other affiliates that I've talked to have told me cherish these moments because they grow up super fast, and they are not lying. And here's some quick Christmas photos that we did take with her. Luckily, it was a great day. And some of you may have noticed she was entered in the Halloween costume contest last year. She was a little Snow White. Some of you might remember, but yeah, that's her. That's our family. And again, I just want to say thank you to all the agents and everyone who has supported us with Pillar to Post in the last couple of years. So thank you. You guys have a fantastic day.
We'll now have our affiliate introductions for today. Please remember to support our affiliates with your transactions. And affiliates, when your name is called, please turn on your speaker and hopefully your camera so we can see all of you. First one, we have Judy Chow from AAA Capital Investment.
I'm sorry, I'm mute. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying the New Year so far, and wish you a upcoming happy Chinese New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next, we will welcome Sandy Franco from First American Home Warranty.
Good morning, everyone. Sandy Franco, First American Home Warranty. Happy New Year and have a fantastic week.
Thank you, Sandy. Next, we have Unita Wu from Home Warranty of America.
Good morning, everyone. Unita Wu from Home Warranty of America, your 13 months. Let me know if you need any help on the home warranty, and wishing you all a happy new year. Thank you.
Next, please welcome Nancy Chan from Lawyers Title.
Happy New Year, everybody. This is Nancy Chan. Glad to be here. And I wish everybody a prosperous, healthy, and safe New Year's. Nancy Chan, Lawyers Title. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, please welcome Cosmo Sanchez from New Aim Funding.
I don't believe he's here, William. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Next, let's move on to John Wax from Snap NHD.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well, staying safe. John Wax with Snap NHD. Happy New Year, happy Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, and let's have a great 2022. Thank you so much. My information is in the chat.
Thank you, John. And we will have Annie Fan from Chicago Title.
Good morning. This is Annie Fan, Chicago Title. Happy Thursday. Have an amazing day.
Thank you, Annie. Next, please welcome Brandon Savransky from First American NHD.
Good morning, everyone. Brandon Savransky with First American NHD, and I hope everyone has a fantastic week.
Thank you, Brandon. Next, please welcome Angie Tan from First American Title.
Thank you. Good morning. And First American Title, wishing you guys a wonderful and prosperous 2022. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And we're also happy to include open pitching to our virtual MLS breakfast meeting. Today we have no listing to be featured. Lynn, do we have
Yes,
Michael and
speakers are here, yes.
Thank you. So at this time, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Michael Brooks and Angela Lee of Direct. Hello, Michael. So today we have Michael Brooks and Angela Lee of Direct. Michael Brooks is a lead founder, CEO of Direct. He's also a 20-year licensed tax attorney, and he spent most of his time and career working in the area of international taxation. We also have Angela Lee from Direct today. She is the tax director of international affairs for Direct. She was born and raised in China. Angela has lived and worked in the United States since 2009. She received her MBA from USC, and she worked several years with the Chinese company engaging in business in the United States. So without further ado, Michael and Angela, the floor is yours.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So what we do is, and a lot of you will know us, but in case you don't, we'll go through the basics briefly. What we do at Directs is help foreign sellers of real estate with their U.S. tax issues, which are a lot. And of course, in this area, San Gabriel, we have so many foreign persons who are selling real estate all the time. That's our basic info. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah. So if you represent real estate agents, a person who's a non-U.S. person who owns real estate in the United States, by non-U.S. person, I mean somebody who's not a U.S. citizen who also doesn't live here. We have a lot of those people that fit into that category in the San Gabriel Valley. They don't live here. They might vacation a little bit, but they basically don't live here, and they're certainly not U.S. citizens. And yet they buy a lot of real estate. When that person comes in to sell real estate, it's not the end of the world. They're not going to be treated any different than Americans when they sell real estate from an overall tax perspective, but they will be subject to these large holdbacks, withholding taxes when they close, because the IRS doesn't trust non-U.S. people to send them a check down the road in case they really do owe them any money. So they say, give us some money up front, and if we owe you, the IRS is saying this, if we owe you a refund, you can come get it from us and we'll give it to you. So when look at the chart in the middle, guys, when a non-U.S. person sells real estate over $1 million, and I don't care if they're selling for a loss, I don't care if they're doing a 1031, there's really no reason, really nothing you can come up with that's going to change this position. They're going to have to send in 15% of the gross sales price into the IRS. And again, they can come get it if they don't owe that in taxes, which they probably won't, because that's a lot of money. But they'll have to have that going in the first place, and that's a bummer. Under $1 million, it might be 10%, it might be 15%. There's kind of a quirky rule there. At least 10% of the gross sales price is going into the IRS, and it could even be zero under 300,000, but we'll have very few of those around here. So let's go to the next slide, and I'm going to remind everybody how this works. Take a look at this example, everybody, if you can follow along. At the top, we talked about a foreign couple, a couple from China, bought a house in LA a few years ago, and I say in January 17, they sell it for 1.2 million. Notice that at the time of closing, let's say we can bump it up a few years. Let's say it's January 2022 now, everybody. At the time of closing, since they're selling for $1.2 million, the escrow will send in $180,000 directly to the IRS. It doesn't matter, as I said before, whether they could even be losing money on the sale. They could have bought it for 1.4, selling for 1.2, losing money. Escrow is still going to be required to send in $180,000 into the IRS. In my example, we say they bought for $1 million and selling for 1.2, so they're making a tiny profit. And if you follow my example, I assume that since they're making a very small profit, bought for $1 million, sold for 1.2, profit of 200, they might owe, I estimate, 30,000 in taxes to the IRS for that profit. You know, roughly 15% times the profit is what the IRS taxes. But again, they're foreign. They had to send in 180 at close. And so in January 2022, let's say we'll bring it up to today, when the sale closes, they're owed a refund, if everybody can follow, of $150,000. The real tax was 30, but they're foreign, so they had to send in 180. And they're going to want their $150,000 back. So anybody know who's following? I know some of you have heard this before. How long the sale, if the sale's in January 2022, our couple will have to wait for their $150,000 refund. This is not really, nobody can really raise their hand, so I'll answer the question. It's probably going to be about 1.5 years. They're probably going to be out of pocket, guys, for about 1.5 years. They'll probably get their money back if they do a tax return for a 2022 sale in 2023 in the beginning of the year. They'll probably get it back in the summer of 2023. So any foreign seller, as you can see, it's not that they pay more taxes, but they're going to be out of pocket this excess amount for a long time, and that's a bummer for them. They're not going to be happy about that. So of course, as a good realtor, you're going to want to help them do the best that you can to mitigate this issue. I talk about it in the bottom, excuse me, the alternative they might have, an alternative, which is called the 8288B option, guys. The seller is allowed to hire somebody like us to prepare what's called an 8288B withholding certificate application. What it is, you can probably think of this already, is at the closing, instead of the money going in, instead of the 180 going in, the IRS permits an application to go in instead. So escrow would hold the 180. An application goes into the IRS. Hey, IRS, look, we didn't make that much money. We made 30,000 in profit. I mean, we made 200,000 in profit. We've run the numbers. It looks like we should owe you about 30. Do we really have to send in, 180 when we owe 30? They'll look it over, and if you do it well and if you do it right, they'll agree, and they'll say, yeah, we looked it over. We agree. You don't really need to send in 180. We only need 30, and they'll let you send in 30 instead of 180. But there's a couple catches here. Number one is this used to be a very attractive option. It still is, but they used to do it much quicker, guys. They used to review these files and get back to you in 3 or 4 months, and everybody was psyched then because now you'd have your money back in our January 22 sale in May or June 2022. Not a big deal. But this department, and we work with this department all the time, has gotten really, all these IRS, this is part of the second half of my thing, is all these IRS departments are completely backlogged from the IRS, from the coronavirus. And everybody is playing from behind. Refunds, regular refunds are taking much longer. Approvals, these specialty approvals for foreign sellers not to have to send in their tax, they're not taking 3 or 4 months anywhere. They're taking like 8 or 9 months, and it's just backed up. And I feel like until we get back to a normal time, it's going to stay that way. So yeah, if you're selling in January 2022 and you'd rather not send in all 150, and you heard about this 8288B, and you don't like, your client doesn't like the idea of getting a refund in the summer 2023, which is when they're going to, unless they do this special deal, and you say, well, 8-9 months still sounds better than 18, which I understand, we can do this. And we can probably have your client's money back by September, October 2022 in my example. But it's not as good as it used to be. And I just want to point that out. And the other thing is, you'll notice in my example, I discussed the escrow's got to be willing to hold the money, because the seller can't have it, and we're not going to send it into IRS. So escrow's got to be willing to hold it for months until we hear back from the IRS. And a lot of escrows don't want to do that. So you're going to have to find a good, helpful escrow who's willing to hold on to this money indefinitely until we hear back from IRS. I'm just telling you, that is not a given in the escrow community. You're going to have to talk to the escrows and see what they say and see if they're up for this. Some will say yes. Some will say, we don't want to get involved with this. It's too long, and we have other things to worry about than holding your money for the next 9 months. So depends on who you ask for, okay? But at least that's there. And then let me go to this next page real quick. Excuse me. I also want to highlight briefly that every foreign seller is going to need an Itin, an individual taxpayer ID number. If they don't get an Itin, they're never going to get a refund from their withholding tax. We just talked to an example where the person's going to want $150,000 back from their 180 being withheld because they didn't make that much profit. Well, they'll never get any of that, whether it's the long way or the short way, unless they get an Itin. Itin is a prerequisite to refunds. getting an ITIN is hard, guys. They don't make it easy, the system. You know, you couldn't just get an ITIN. You've listened to this lecture and you're like, oh, I better help my client get an ITIN. I heard they're not going to get a refund without it. They can't just go run out and get one tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. You have to show the IRS you have an absolute need today for an ITIN. And the way you show that in our area is you send in copies of the closing statements, a copy of the sale agreement. You know, you have to show them, in other words, that you're really about to sell this real estate before they'll issue you an ITIN, and not, oh, I'm putting it on the market. Wouldn't it be nice to get an ITIN? They'll say no then. So we have to prove to the IRS in these ITIN applications that you are in a closing and you're selling real estate. There's going to be withholding, and then they'll issue one. So FYI, getting ITINs is tricky. It's a waste of time. It could even harm us if you do an application which is going to be pending, which is certain to be rejected, which it will be unless you have what, you know, sort of an ITIN event, which they describe. There's several, like doing a rental tax return would be one as well for rents that you incurred in the United States as the owner. So keep in mind, ITINs are hard to get, and you can only get them at the right time. And we're always happy to help our clients get ITINs, but they are tricky. Okay, I just want to briefly go over what I think. That's part one. I think a lot of you, if you're long timers, have heard this before. Let me go over in part two what we see as changing in our area basically since the pandemic started. When a lot of stuff remains troublesome ever since 2020, frankly, and it hasn't changed that much. And I'll go through these issues as well. Hot topics these are pandemic related topics in our world. Our world revolves around a lot of communication and processing from the IRS, but other problems as well. Oh, so this is not an IRS one, guys. You know, when again, the point is that you're helping a foreign individual who's selling. There's a good chance, and those who do a lot of this, you know this, that your client is not here in the United States when you sell. They're probably in their home country right now. That's by far the norm, as opposed to being here. And you know that you're gonna have to get this is not about my world, not about the tax. You just want to sell this property, and to sell the property, the deeds have to be notarized. And that's not a big deal if the client is in the United States, where they go into any escrow office, they got a notary in there, and they do it right on US soil. It could be any notary. But you may know that if they're not on US soil, we may have a problem. The fallback to getting deeds notarized under California law, and I assume US law, all of which requires US soil. California could just be anywhere in US would work for a private notary, but they're not in the US. So the fallback is supposed to be sending your client to the US embassy in their home country, where they will take those deeds, and the notary, the embassy officials notarize them and put a stamp on them, and it's sort of this override to the must be notarized on US soil deal. And that's been the number one fallback. But these embassies, as you may know, are a mess. And particularly, you know, at a given time, you know, when the coronavirus is going up, we've seen this crazy pattern now for 2 years. It goes in waves, I think, throughout the world. And if it's an up period in the country at issue, that embassy is not going to be open. Or if it is open, it's for basic necessities. They probably won't do this. They may, but you know, depending on your timing, your client may not have the use of the U.S. embassy in their home country. It might take 5 months to get in there. A lot of stuff, I've seen it all. And so you just can't count on using the U.S. embassies to get these deals notarized. What's the next fallback? Well, there's this fallback called the Apostille System. I talk about that in B there, where we use a notary in the home country that we can find easily, and then the notary takes it before a judge in the home country, and somehow the U.S. recognizes this as well. It's called the Apostille System, where the private notary in France, you know, notary in France takes it to French judge says this is legit, and we're good. But of course, this requires you to get involved in the judicial system of the home country. You got to get the French judge involved, or it doesn't work. And once again, you're going to have problems where if the coronavirus is going crazy, you're not you know, you're not going to be able to get before a judge in France. They're, you know, or largely, it could be that their judicial system is very much backed up there like it is here. So I don't think you can count on this fallback to get it notarized. And this is one here. We'll put this up here. I don't even know. We don't really want to go through this too much. This is a, you know, we've heard rumors. We don't want to accentuate this too much. This is a, maybe there's escrows that will utilize notaries from other states, even though I'm not sure they're supposed to. I don't know. I'm not going to go crazy here. Just to say, your escrow company may have found a workaround to this problem by utilizing notaries in other states and remote notary systems. You ask your escrow if they have any way around this. There may be creative ways around this problem that I'm not even sure about, and I'm not sure where they are in the permissibility, schedule. But what have you? That's out there. You can ask your escrow company if there's any other ways they know to get around this problem. But that's what I've heard. I don't want to go crazy. Mailing problems, guys. The mailing, if you're in, so now I'm off a notary. Now you've figured out your notary problem, hopefully, but you just got to get these deeds back from India into the recorder office so you can close this deal. Good luck, because mailing can be a huge problem from the other parts of the world right now when they're in a heavy coronavirus period. We had a case where it was in India. We needed some tax documents, but the escrow also needed some documents notarized. The guy was like locked in his house, like seriously, where he wasn't allowed. The army was out there not allowing him to get out of the house for, you know, a week or 2 weeks. And he was allowed maybe one trip out a week, some crazy stuff. And, you know, he's like, he was telling us that a FedEx, which is pretty much the gold standard as far as I'm concerned, was going to take 6 weeks out of India, excuse me. So be cognizant of the fact that, you know, when you're dealing with foreign clients, getting mailings back from other countries, that you may be in a whole new mailing system and schedule may be something you have to deal with, basically, because we cannot rely on the mailings like we used to, even from the private service. And you better use private services. I get mail. Some lady told me she's putting in the Japanese regular mail, you know, and not FedEx. And I'm like, are you kidding? You know, don't put it in the Japanese regular mail, please. You know, I don't know when it's going to get here, and I can't. She wants me to track it in the regular mail. I'm like, I can't do that. Just go to FedEx. So anyway, she found her way to FedEx. Okay. And then the only other thing I'm going to talk about, not the remainder part of this, is tax problems. And we are having, this has actually been extended to 2022. What you see here is me complaining about, you know, we need you know, it's funny. There was all these discussions about, oh, should we have hire more IRS officials, and maybe they could, you know, but they were going to be for enforcement. And I'm like, oh, don't hire a bunch of IRS guys for more enforcement. I don't want that. On the other hand, if they wanted to hire some IRS guys to just do the regular processing that they need to do in there, I would be all for it, because they are understaffed in there. And especially when people are waiting for their refunds, you know, we get a lot of refunds just doing the regular tax returns. We did people's refunds in 2021. Here it is, January 2022. We have a lot of them who haven't got their refund yet, guys. You know, and in our area, these refunds are for hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of times, because it deals with this large foreign withholding tax. And these clients are nuts, right? How can it be? What's going on? We have to deal with a lot of, you know, emotional clients sometimes. And we explain to them, it's just the IRS is not run, you know, they're understaffed and they're not going smoothly. Everything's backed up. A lot of them are working from home, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, but yes, good and bad. I think at least they can't get, you know, crushed by another outbreak in their office. But it's not as easy to work from home. They don't do as well, to be honest. But a lot of them work at home. I talk to them in their homes all the time. That's where the phones go now. If you want to talk to IRS people, it'll go to an agent in their own home. Anyway, long story short is the IRS remains a mess. The refunds, the issues are just messy to this day. And it's not that different than when the coronavirus broke out. And, you know, again, our job is to get people their money back, whether it's the next year, whether it's through the 828B the same year, whether it's to get their Itins. Itins are okay. They can still get gotten in 2 years, 2 months, I mean, maybe. But refunds can take a year plus. And so everybody has to just understand that that currently remains. This, you know, IRS messiness is not gone at all. And I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon until the virus is gone, basically. That, you know, nailings also play into that. Okay, that's all we're going to talk about here. Angela's going to say a few words, and then we'll take any questions if there are any. Go ahead, Angela.
Good morning, everyone. During the pandemic, our clients have difficulties to travel to the US. Most of these clients have either been locked down in their home country, and our company have helped many foreign sellers, especially the sellers and investors from China, to apply for the US tax ID, and also successfully help them obtain the large withholding tax refunds. The entire process, they don't have to travel to the US. And our company is a RS approved certifying acceptance agent, which is allowed to certify the passport. So in order to apply for the tax ID, you must have the passport certified either in the US Embassy or sent to the RS approved certifying acceptance agent. So the clients will either FedEx or DHL their passports to our company, and then we use the WeChat or WhatsApp through the FaceTime. We FaceTime the clients and certify the passports, then FedEx the passports right back. And this way helps our clients a lot. Another issue, like Michael just said, the RS is facing a huge backlog of tax returns and a staffing shortage, and they also taking time to receive a massive increase in the phone calls, then cause them to now even still working on the prior year individual tax returns that have not been fully processed. So it's gonna be a huge delay. So the best time, if you have a foreign clients gonna be listing their house on the market, the best time to reach us is now, so we can plan ahead, and we will help you, your clients, to apply the tax ID. And also, if they are qualified, we can apply for the early withholding certificate to help them get a refund quickly. And we also see a large increase of clients who couldn't get their refunds in the prior year. Believe it or not, some clients still cannot get their refunds when they sold the house in 2017, 18, and 2019. And we can still help these people. We call the SOS case. And because this works all we do, we will help thousands of non-US sellers obtain their withholding tax refunds in 2021. And we probably do more than anyone in the state of California, no matter how complicated the clients' cases are, and we will help them get their refunds. I'm gonna speak a little bit in Mandarin. 大家好，我们公司呢就是只为外国客户呢，帮助他们申请税号，然后呢帮他们做大额的房地产预扣税退还。特别在疫情期间呢，因为客户面临着不能去美国领事馆做这个护照公证的事情，我们可以帮他们做视频护照公证，同时呢，我们可以帮助客户做最快限度的预扣税退还，联邦预扣税退还。同时呢，如果客户在2018年、19年，甚至17年的房子，就是说那个预扣税还没有退还的话呢，我们也可以帮他处理，因为这是我们公司的唯一服务。同时，我们公司呢，是 bilingual， 然后我们英文、中文，我们的网站上面也有中文。有什么问题的话呢，随时跟我们联系。谢谢。So we can go for the questions.
If there, yeah, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
That can be all, or if there's questions, we're here to answer any. Yeah.
Whatever. Right, thank you, Michael. So at this time, we have a few questions in the chat, and I also see our President Brian Chan's hand is raised. So let's address it with Brian.
Morning. Thank you for Very good presentation. And my question surrounds about the gross rent withholding tax for foreign landlord. Many of our agents don't realize that the IRS tax law requires a 30% of the gross rent withholding to be filed with the IRS quarterly on any foreign investors who are receiving rent in the United States. And the penalty is $10,000 for each missed filing. But the problem is, how does a foreign investor receive tax ID? Because we need a tax ID to file that, don't we? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we didn't talk too much about rents, but he's right that if you have a client a foreign client who owns property, who's renting it out, and the agent or somebody is involved in the payment trail. So the agents get involved here because they agree to go collect the rents or be in receipt of the rents and then forward the rents on to the foreign person. At that point, they're with what's called a withholding agent, and they are responsible, frankly, for making sure this is done right, or they can be in trouble. And the way out of this mess, well, my 2 cents to the agent is you're going to have to withhold and kick in the quarterly, as you were discussing, until the foreign individual gets an Itin and provides you with what's called the Form W-8 ECI. And then, so question, well, how does a foreign individual get an Itin? You mentioned before, it's not that easy, and it's not. So what does a foreign individual do? The best way for the foreign individual to get an Itin, so we can remove the situation where the agent is required to withhold 30% of the rents, is to do the first tax return the person can. So I rent out my place a little bit. Maybe I rented it out a little bit in 2021, and there was some holdbacks, as has been discussed, and sent in. Well, here we are, 2022. Now what this person should do is do a tax return, declare their rents earned to the IRS. Doesn't mean they're going to owe any tax. A lot of times they owe no tax because they certainly had a lot of expenses, and it may be a net zero, but they have to declare on a tax return the rents earned to the IRS. And when they send in this tax return declaring the rents earned to the IRS, but maybe no tax, that is a tax return is an Itin event. So now while we're doing this tax return, we can also send in an Itin application. So, hopefully 2 months after we send in the tax return, we'll have the Itin, and we can have the tenant fill out this form that's not complete until we have the Itin. And then from, that basically there on after, although they're supposed to do it every 3 years, the obligation of the agent is removed from being required to withhold 30%. So my answer to everybody is at the first possible time they can, which is basically the first year after they collect rents, let's do the tax return. Let's take that opportunity to apply for the Itin, and we will be out of this mandatory withholding in 2 months once we send that tax return in. That's what I have. Yeah.
Thank you. And I just want to remind the agents, you are the withholding agent. And if you fail to file the estimated tax, the penalty is on you. Many agents don't realize that.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we do have a few questions in the chat, and I want to say if we don't get to address your question, you're more than welcome to email Michael and Angela. One question I have is from Doris Chia. She asks, can foreign sellers do 1031 exchange?
Mm-hmm. Foreign sellers can do 1031 exchange. They buy a house a few years ago for $1 million. It's now worth $2 million. They don't want to pay tax on the $1 million that it's gone up. They want to take the proceeds and sink it into a property too. Yes, they can do it. Now, keep in mind, one thing I haven't said is, just because they're going to do a 1031 and we're going to allow them not to pay the tax, we're going to allow them to defer, we meaning the IRS, or is going to allow them to defer the gain of $1 million. Nothing in that statement says they don't have to have 15% of the sales price withheld. They're foreign, they're selling property for 2 million, 300 grand has either got to go into the IRS or has got to go through the 8288B exception process. Now, if they follow through and do a 1031 and they go up in value, or at least the same value as 2 million or up, then they are going to get all 300 grand back, either in next year's tax return or in the 8 or 9 months after the 82AB process, when it takes them to review. They're going to get it all back because we know the final result of this is a non-tax event if they buy for more than 2 million. So yes, they can do 1031s. Yes, they can defer tax on the gain, but what they cannot do, don't think it's a way out of the 15% withholding obligation. It's not, but you'll get it all back eventually.
Thank you. We have time for one more. What is direct fees for these kind of services? Is it based on sales price or is it a flat fee?
It's a flat fee for the Itin, which is $500. But yes, if we're doing 828B for, let's just say, $1 million a sale, it might be like 4,000. But if it was 10 million, it would be more. So we certainly vary the fee based on how much money we're able to, put back into the seller's pocket by our services. So it will, it's a range. I don't know how to better put it. And it would depend, yes, on the size of the sale and how much money we're able to get back to them more quickly.
All right. So on behalf of West San Gabriel Valley Realtors, we would like to thank our guest speakers, Michael Brooks and Angela Lee from Directs, for their very informative presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Angela.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Next, we will have our attendance drawing. Please type your DRE member name and email in the chat box if your name is selected. Our first winner is Charlie Chen. Is Charlie in the house? Do we have Charlie? If you're here, please type in your name and your email.
I don't think he's here.
Okay, let's move on. And we have Lynette. Oh, I hope she's here.
Yeah, she's here.
Hey, Nanette, please acknowledge you're here and your DRE name and email in the chat box, please.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Nanette.
here. Hi, thank you. What a
All
great
right.
start of a new year.
I know. All right, let's move on to the next. Our second winner is Jeffrey Kwan. I know you asked the question, he must be here. Congratulations, Jeffrey. Yep, you're here. Please type in your name and email in the chat box. Thank you. And let's move on to the third and last for today. Adela Diaz. Do we have Adela Diaz? I don't think I see the name here.
I don't think she's here.
Yeah. All right. Too bad. Let's move on. All right. Our next lucky winner, Frank Chai. Thank you.
Frank is
Chai.
here.
I see your name, but if you can
Yeah, I'm
hear us.
here. Yeah, I'm
Thank
here.
you, Frank. Congratulations.
Thank
Please
you.
type in your DRE name and email address in the chat box.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to our slides. Please make sure to participate in our education classes. A list of upcoming classes is displayed on your screen right now. First, we have the 45-hour DRE license renewal continuing education on Friday, January 14 from 9:30 to 12:30. Cost is $85. We also have a meet and learn to unlock the reverse mortgage potential with Prop 19 and increase your sales. It's on Tuesday, January 18 from 11 to 12. It is free. We also have free CMLS virtual training on HomeSnap Pro app happening on January 19. It's Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Virtual Zip Form Plus training. It is also free, happening on Monday, January 24 from 9:30 to 12:30. All right, and the WSGVR office will be closed on Monday, January 17th, 2022, in observance for Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. We will resume normal business hours on Tuesday, January 18th. And thank you everyone for joining our meeting today. Please join us next week when we welcome Matt Gelfand from California's for Home Ownership. Reminder that our MLS breakfast meeting will remain virtual for January and until further notice. Please support our affiliates with your transactions. This meeting is now adjourned. This is a new day. Go and get them.